Hello, and welcome to Songs My Ex Ruined, where we talk about songs that have been ruined by exes. I'm Melissa Locker.
And I'm Courtney E. Smith.
And today we are here with comedian Annick Adelle.
First of all, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And we're all here today to hear about a song that an ex ruined for you. Please tell us your story.
Thanks for having me, guys. A song my ex ruined for me. I think the most prominent one is "Looks Like We Made It." I guess it was by Barry Manilow, and then Shania Twain covered it. So it's a very intense song about how against all odds this couple we made it. Right? They said we're never gonna make it, yada yada, but you and I, baby, we made it. And my ex used to play that song a lot. Because when we started dating, she was my first female person I dated. And so I was still in the closet a little bit about dating a woman and generally identifying as queer, I guess, in that way. And so with her over the span of like 5 years, I kind of got more comfortable about it. But the odds were stacked against us because, right, I was this high shot corporate lawyer and I was in the closet and I have this very strict family and to which I wasn't out at all. And so, yeah, the odds were stacked against us. And so this song became a little bit anthem of like, no, we're gonna make it. And I think just a week before we broke up, she sent it to me again. She's like, baby, look, we've come so far and whatever. And then a week later, she goes, hey, I met this other person.
Oh, no.
And looks like we're not going to make it, like that. And I was like, oh, great. So, I guess that.
Wait. Did your ex say those words out loud to you, or was this in a text or an email or something?
Oh, no, she said it like, out loud on a phone call. Yeah.
Wow. That's evil. That's just like, oh, I'm going to ruin the song and our relationship.
And your life just for a hot minute.
To be fair, I don't know if she made a connection to the song, but
you certainly did.
I did. And because it was such an anthem during our relationship, I was like, wow, a week before you sent me the song and now you're breaking up? Okay, great. So, yeah.
So did your ex play the Barry Manilow version or the Shania Twain version a lot?
It's the Shania Twain version, which... Did you guys see that there's a documentary about her?
Oh, yes.
I watched it, and boy, does Shania Twain have some problematic friends. Why is Diplo in that documentary?
Oh, who's that again?
Diplo is a DJ, and he's a dirtbag. And he's remixed some of her songs, though, and he had a hot moment where he wanted to be a country artist.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's so weird.
For some reason, he's in there, and it's just like, why? Shania Twain, so many people love you. Why? Why put this...
I do have to say that looking at Shania's oeuvre, Shania would absolutely not approve of your ex's use of that song.
Thank you.
In that way whatsoever. Shania would definitely say, hell no.
She would be on your side.
Look, I think every relationship, it's not just one-sided. I think we were kind of at the end of our relationship. It's not just that all of a sudden out of the blue, but the first relationship cuts a little deeper than all the others. And so I think that's kind of stuck with me too, that, and it wasn't just, hey, I think we're falling out of love and let's move on. But it was, hey, I met somebody else. And by the way, I'm leaving. And so that's not good for the ego, I think, as well. And so, yeah, it wasn't easy.
It's true. And by the way, you just referenced like maybe the originator song of the idea here. The First Cut is the Deepest by Cat Stevens, covered by Sheryl Crow. And it really captures the essence of that feeling that you're discussing right now. What I'm also curious about is, were Barry Manilow or Shania Twain artists who you cared about? Are you really missing something by getting reminded of this when you hear them? Or is this something that just waltzes its way into your world now and then? And you're like, oh, brutal memories, goodbye, shut it out.
So I don't listen to them on, Apple Music or anything. I don't have their albums or, follow artists and then you shuffle through them. I don't do that. But Barry Manilow, I mean, love that guy. Love his music ever since Ally McBeal.
Oh, okay.
Classic throwback. Good
reference. Yeah.
Yeah. ever since then, I was like, oh yes, Barry Manilow. It's
Nice.
such a great groove. And so I love that guy. But because it's more the Shania Twain version that we listen to, and now watching the documentary of Shania Twain, memories definitely came up for me. And I was like, oh, yeah, right. Looks like we didn't make it. So I don't listen to that song anymore.
You guys, something amazing has happened.
Oh,
My phone just lit up and I literally just got an email about a Shania Twain album. It's very weird.
wow.
That's synchronicity.
No. That's the phone listening. That's Apple.
That's Google. Yeah. Fair.
Have you ever been somewhere and heard this song? Like you're at the grocery store just trying to pick out some yogurt and the song comes on and you're like, I can't buy yogurt. I'm sad.
No, it's worse. When I listened to it recently in an elevator, this elevator music. And now you can't do anything against this because you're in the elevator. And it was like 34th floor. So I was like, thank you.
Oh, you're like, I'm going to get up.
Because otherwise you just like switch channels or anything, but you can't in an elevator.
Wow, that's brutal.
That's a long elevator ride.
But this has been like years. I am over it, but it has this weird connotation because it was so mean in a way. It's still in my system a little bit.
I hate it though when you are like at a grocery store or trapped in an elevator and a song comes on and you're like, I can't. I mean, I think it's because I'm so kind of generally attuned to the music, but I just remember like Joni Mitchell's River came on and I was already feeling like moody and like not having a great day. And I was just trying to pick up, cereal and fruit. And I go to the grocery store and this song comes on and I'm just like, am I going to end up crying in the yogurt aisle? Like, I don't want to cry in the yogurt aisle. It's just embarrassing.
Is that your song that your ex ruined for you?
Oh, no, it's just a sad song. It's just incredibly sad.
She just has a lot of feelings, even in the
Yeah.
grocery store.
Isn't that crazy?
And if I'm gonna cry anywhere, it should be in Build-A-Bear because Build-A-Bear is the best place to cry in the world.
Songs are really powerful. I'm not gonna songs and smells, right? Like
Yeah.
my ex-girlfriend had this one perfume. Every time somebody wears it, I'm like hypersensitive. I'm like, wait, where is she? And it's like, oh wait, somebody else has the perfume as well.
Like most of my songs that exes have ruined for me are like the Beatles catalog. I had an ex who was a big fan, and just the whole thing. Like, there's too many songs that are associated with him that is seared into my brain. So yeah, people don't just ruin songs for me, and they ruin entire art.
Oh, okay.
They go down in flames.
Yeah, it's like burn it.
My brother technically ruined that National album for me, but just because he listened to it non-stop. And like he was a full-grown person who had shuffle. Like, he could have played something different. And he never did. Just that album over and over again. Cannot listen to it.
Oh, I get that. Like songs on repeat. I've done it. I've been guilty of that. Like especially when somebody leaves you, there's this one song where you always cry, and you're like, "Yep, I'm playing that nonstop." So just so I can cry, cry, cry.
I feel like I've ruined songs for myself doing that. Like I have different playlists I've made after breakups that are very specific to that breakup. And they're not even songs I shared with that person, but it's like that song is now forever associated to that breakup because I played it into the ground.
Same.
Okay, this is going to take a dark turn for a quick second.
Okay.
My aunt passed away recently and I was very emotional and I knew I wanted to just go walk around. And I was like, I know I want to listen to something and I don't want to listen to a podcast. So I'm going to listen to music. But I was like, what music do I hate enough that I'm going to be okay with ruining it? And I decided to listen to Coldplay.
Yeah, fuck Coldplay. Sorry, you nice people, but come on.
Really?
Yeah, I was just like, I'm just going to turn on Coldplay and walk around. And I was in Amsterdam
Listening to Yellow, just let it be gone forever.
And I'm just going to have this associate forever, like my aunt passing with Yellow. And it's going to be perfect because I never liked that song anyway. And it's sort of emotional, but not too emotional. And I'm just going to let it burn.
I love that. That's actually very smart. And I love also that you guys don't like Coldplay because I always feel like I'm the only person on this planet, but it's very reassuring that you guys also are like, no,
It's just so average. Like, it's fine. It's perfectly fine.
Yes.
One of my closest friends, when I moved to New York the first time and was working at MTV when the first Coldplay album came out, she was really obsessed with them and she was really into a lot of British bands. When she came to visit me, they happened to be coming and I was like, well, come up to the studio and you can like meet them and it'll be great because you love them. And she was so like, her level of excitement was so intense. And I was just like, I still don't know how you care this much. Like, she just went to see them on their tour this year. Her level of excitement has not waned. She loves them. People love them.
My former best friend, absolutely obsessed with them, and then they came to her town, and she couldn't afford to go there, and I was like, "Oh, I have some money right now, so I can, you know, I can buy the tickets for her." So I bought the tickets for her, not knowing what that's gonna cause. Like for months, she would talk about this concert and send me videos and how they partied, and I was like, "It's just a fucking song we've heard millions of times." But she was, and then they had this color, and then I don't know, they had like a band that you put around your wrist, and everything was glowing, the entire stadium, and I was like, yeah, I mean, we've seen this. It's not special, but yeah, you can't convince them otherwise. They're hardcore fans.
Yeah, I will say in Coldplay's defense, well, rather in Chris Martin's defense, I believe Courtney and I were both at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony where he got up and inducted Peter Gabriel.
Yes.
And that man can read a previously written speech like no one else.
Which is a talent not all musicians have, as we learned that year at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
He was really funny. Like he had people cracking up, and we are very like
Hmm.
cynical, grouchy journalists, and we were busting up laughing.
Okay.
I don't think he wrote the speech, but if he did, congratulations. That was good. He should go work in a writer's room.
Mhm.
But even if he just delivered it, it was really funny.
It's true.
And it actually made me like him just this much more.
I know that a lot of people have an actual crush on him. Like my former best friend also did. Totally. And I mean, I'm not into men, but I can see, yeah, he's a feeling guy. He's British or whatever.
He's like that character in Love Actually who just is like, if you just go to America and you're British, all the girls will love you.
Because you have a British accent, you can say the stupidest shit in the world, but with a British accent.
Isn't that the truth? Look, and the same goes for French people. Either people hate French people, or they're like, "Oh, the accent is so sexy," and
Mhm.
I'm always like, "Right." And I'm originally from Germany. I have nothing. Nobody's gonna go, "Oh, that German accent's so sexy." You know what I mean? I'm always a little, but okay.
Somebody will.
I'm trying to make it sexy.
You can.
I
Somehow
don't
it
think
will
I can.
happen. Something about the romance languages, I think, but I can't explain it. You are a bit of a recording artist yourself, in a way, in a manner of speaking, because you're a comedian who's recorded an album.
Yes.
We've actually been working on another podcast where we heard about this from some indie labels in the 2000s that started signing comedians. And one of the people told us very glibly and offhand that they did it because they were like, this has to be cheaper than recording bands. You just need like one microphone in a room, right? They quickly learned that was not the case. But I'd like to hear about your unique experience recording your new comedy album.
Oh, that's so interesting. I love that there's this intersection between music and comedy and how it's different. I mean, I'm not in the music world, right, at all, but I was very surprised to begin with that there is an audience that just listens to audio. Because in my mind, it was always, no, no, no. Comedy is the full experience. You watch it, you hear it, you see the mimic, you see the gestures, you see close up, far away, right? Like it's very visual, I thought. And then when I started doing comedy more and more, people were like, "Oh yeah, I just released an album." I was like, "That exists? That is so funny." In my mind, it doesn't lend itself to audio that well, but then you see a lot of albums on Apple Music and Spotify and whatnot, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well." And so I was talking to the production team here of who produced my album, Blonde Medicine, and they were like, "No, it's a huge market, and we wanna produce it." And I was like, "Okay." And it was more than one microphone because sure, you can take my hot mic, right, and my voice, but then you're not gonna capture the audience's reaction. And as we all know, when you do comedy, that's just as important because people say it's a monologue, but it's not. It's an actual dialogue. Oh, there's laughter and there's reactions. And in my case, I love crowd interactions, right? And particularly my album, people did not know that we were taping. So I wanted them to not know. It would be fresh and completely, authentic.
Wait. It was a surprise?
So they were surprised in the end, right? At the end, when I told them,
Okay.
obviously we got their consent, right? I'm not going to be an asshole about it.
Of course, of course.
But I don't want, like a lot of people do, just invite all their friends and say, "Oh, it's a taping, so you better laugh your asses off," right? Kind of like that.
Totally.
And then it's not authentic. I don't want that. It's specifically set up like this. And I'll say there were at least five microphones in the audience, in the back, where I am, obviously my hot mic. And that was really good because when I was talking to people, you could hear them on the tape. So I'm glad we did that.
That's such a neat idea.
Yeah, and was anyone in the audience being really obnoxious? Like, did you have to be like, "Oh, pipe down, we're taping."
No, I didn't tell them I was taping, right? I had two people in the front row who were completely drunk the first
Oh,
evening.
no.
Yeah. And I was like, this is perfect. When you have drunk people, it can be funny, but you also don't want to make fun of them because I don't want to judge why they're drunk. But at the same time, I want to do a couple of jokes and you don't want to ruin it for the others. So I had to tell them to pipe down a little bit in a nice way, and I think I managed. But with drunk people, when you go, "Hey, girl, can you pipe it down a little bit?" Then drunk people will go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," like that. And then the owner, in between, my jokes, goes to them and is like, "Can you please keep it down?" And then she's like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry," like that. And so the first night was a little tricky, but I also got a good joke out of it. And then we taped the second night just so I could get more jokes in. And the jokes that were probably ruined by that couple, we could take out.
Wait, did you take them out or did you leave them in?
So the jokes with them, I left them in because the guy of that couple, he was also very drunk. He was a big guy, right? So I have this joke where I go, "Oh, for the first time in my life, because of my gender journey, I bought weights, to lift weights. I've never done this, right?" And so, and then he goes, "Yeah, I have a lot of weight too," like that. And I was like,
Oh boy.
I was trying not to, bash his or shame him in any way, but
Sure.
also make fun with him.
He's also being a pain in the butt, so go for it.
Well, yeah, he kind of deserves whatever he brings upon himself.
Yeah, but speaking of deserving things you bring on yourself, so I worked at Kill Rock Stars when they first started signing a lot of comedians and putting
Hmm.
out comedy albums. Like, making a comedy album is really hard. Why on earth did you make it even harder by not letting anyone know? Like, do you just love a challenge? Are you a masochist? Like, what's happening here?
It's two things for me. One is, yes, there's a little bit this element of if it's not hard, it's not good, kind of thing, which I'm working on. Why does everything have to be so hard? But the second one is I want authenticity, and it's all or nothing for me. So if I can't do it the way I want to do it, I'm not sure I want to do it. And the trickiest part for me was to not the authenticity, because I knew I could handle it. That's what I do, and that's what I love. The tricky part for me was that I'm one of those comedians who goes on stage and doesn't know what they're going to talk about, right? But with an album, you can't do that. You have to have a little bit of a storyline, not even just a storyline. I wanted to have a message and I wanted the end to be boom, the crescendo of it all, right? So that's where I was like, oh, but I want it to flow. I don't want to have like, okay, this joke, then this joke, then this joke, then this joke. So I had a concept of the topics and I did that. But till the very end, I did not know how to end the album. And that was the scary part for me. Like in the minute of the ending, I was like, how do I end the show? And then it came to me and I found an ending.
You just start playing Looks Like We Made It.
Wow. Wow.
I should have.
I mean, that would actually be a great thing to add to your set now, that
Yeah.
story, and then end with.
And girl, I dedicate this album to my ex
You can
girlfriend.
have that one for free.
I actually have this joke about my ex girlfriend that I just want to get a Netflix special so that I can come out after the dum dum Netflix and then go, "Look, Christine, that could have been you," and then walk out.
Wow.
That's
Nice.
so petty. And I was like,
Oh, I think Netflix would definitely fund your pettiness. That sounds
yeah,
reasonable. I
100%.
would watch it, I know, like, I
really?
would stream that multiple times. I'd probably make a
It'd
loop
be like,
out of it and just laugh.
and then send it to all your ex boyfriends and girlfriends and be like, yeah.
I'd be following the Twitter thread of internet sleuths trying to figure out who Christine is.
Yeah.
I actually mentioned her. That is her name, and I mentioned it on a YouTube recording recently, and then they published it, and I was like, guys, can you take this down? Because I can't. I mean, in America, I don't care, but this was in Germany. So I was like, no. My ex-girlfriend was in Germany. Anyway.
Anyway, well, thank you so much for coming in. Can you tell people where they can find you? Remind people the name of the album?
Sure, and thanks for having me, girls. I love that you're these boss bitches in music and all, I don't know, first in what you do. You can find me probably easiest, like everybody else, on Instagram at Annick Adelle. That's ANNICKADELLE. And I publish my shows there, where I'm next, in what town, etc. And then the album link is on there too. And I have a homepage where you can also find all that stuff. And that's just my name altogether, www.annickadelle.com.
And I'm going to assume we can find your album everywhere that albums are streamable.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like I could make another Looks Like We Made It joke here.
In the style of Barry Manilow or in the style of Shania Twain? I mean, I vote for Manilow.
And I vote for Shania because,
well, then
she's Shania.
We're going to leave on a dissonant note in that case.
Well, Annick, you can be the tiebreaker.
I'll say, Shania.
Oh, foiled again. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Songs My Ex Ruined. If you're enjoying the podcast, give us a review or rating on your favorite app, and it will really help. And hey, subscribe to get new episodes as soon as they drop.
Songs My Ex Ruined is a production of Nevermind Media. Executive producers are Melissa Locker and Courtney E. Smith. Produced and edited by Stephanie Aguilar. Sound design and theme song by Madeline McCormick. Artwork by Sophie Walker. Additional production support from Casey, Steve, Archer, Bimo, Newton, and all the other good dogs and cats out there.